is a 5-minute business builder with Rick Howe, where your business comes first on News 95.7.
And from time to time on this show, we welcome members of HRM's business community to tell us more about themselves and the jobs that they do. And today we welcome back mortgage advisor Clinton Wilkins to the studio this afternoon. Hi, Clinton.
How are you doing? Thanks for having me, Rick.
Well, thank you for coming back here again today. How are things going?
Just great.
Good. You want to talk to us a bit about Financial Literacy Month first here this morning. Or
That's
this afternoon.
right, yeah.
What is this all about?
You know what? It's November 1st, and I think the first of the month is a great time to look at your finances. And for us, for our purview, mortgage lending and household finances is one of the biggest pieces of people's financial health. And the mortgage is people's biggest debt. So I think that really getting the independent advice from a mortgage professional is great. And I think November is a great time to take a look.
All right, and that mortgage professional will be someone like you, for example.
Someone like me or someone else that's in someone's community.
So what can you help? What can you provide people? I mean, if I come to you with my questions, what is it you're going to do for me here?
I think for us, our primary focus is the debt that's attached to someone's home, whether it's a condo or a house or another piece of real estate. We look at what the best solution is for them over the long term, and we look at their entire financial picture. We're looking at their unsecured debt and their assets to really give them the best advice moving forward. I find oftentimes, when clients come into us, they're really getting that unbiased advice because we're not, tied to one specific lender. We have access to many different lenders, which really can make a difference.
And that's the benefit of going to a mortgage broker is that you're not tied to one bank or any bank. You can look and see what the best rates available are.
Exactly. We're not biased to one lender. We're really biased to our clients.
Now, what's the difference between a fixed rate and a variable rate? And what's the benefit to one over the other?
Great question. There's a lot of noise in the media right now around variable rate mortgages. As you know, there was an increase to the prime rate here last week.
Up a quarter point, right?
Up a quarter point, exactly. Historically, people do better in a variable rate product, but we don't want to have clients that are losing sleep at night. A fixed will be more expensive over a 5-year period of time, but, there's a cost to that peace of mind, I think. Historically, people do better in a variable. On average, about 40% of Canadians are in a variable rate mortgage product.
I think we're in one of those here.
Probably a great call.
Well, so far it's been, but I mean, let's look down the road a bit. And what's your expectation of future interest rate hikes?
Great question. I'm not an economist, but I think over the next 18 to 24 months, we're going to see the Bank of Canada increase rates. I think we're going to see some slow increases over the next period of time. But the economists are thinking that there may be a recession come by 2020, which is going to drive down the inflation, which in turn will lower the interest rate. So I think anybody who's in a variable rate mortgage product, if they have a discount of, 0.5% below prime or better, I think staying in a variable is the way to go. There's lots of variable rate mortgage products out there that you can get at now at maybe prime minus 100. So if you have a variable rate, at prime minus 10, 20, 30, it might make sense switching into a different lender at prime minus 100 or potentially into a fixed rate. But if you have a discount that's deeper than prime minus 50, so 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, I think staying where you're at makes sense. And I think weathering that storm of the increases over the next 18 to 24 months is going to pay you dividends.
All right, so we're into a 25-year mortgage. How often should we be reviewing this mortgage?
Well, typically the average mortgage term in Canada is 5 years. So people should be reviewing their mortgage, I think, at least once a year, just looking at, their financial outlook. A lot of things change in people's lives. They have babies, they get married, they get divorced. Lots of things change. So I think that reviewing it once a year is really, very prudent. And I think November is a great time where it's financial literacy. We're putting out a lot of material on our website and on our social media, so they can certainly check us out and check out their unbiased mortgage professional in their market.
I'm looking at some of these talking points. It says types of transactions: purchase, refinance, or renewal. Explain.
Yeah. So a lot of people think about reviewing their mortgage when they're buying a home. Yeah. Because majority of buyers get a mortgage. Yep. But when your mortgage comes up for renewal, I think is a great time to take a look. And it may be a good time to think about transferring to a different lender because, like what I've said before, better a lot rates. Of mortgage lenders will give you a better rate as a new customer instead of an existing customer. A lot of lenders treat existing customers kind of like the cell phone companies. They're giving the new ones a better deal than the existing. And when you're coming up close to the renewal point, people ask me, how soon should we start looking at it? I think 4 months before renewal, you should really start taking a look. And at that point, it might make sense to do a refinance and access some of that equity that's in your home. In Canada, you can refinance up to 80% of the market value. And sometimes that can make sense if clients are looking to tie in some unsecured debt or do a renovation or maybe for investment purposes. So I think seeking the advice of an unbiased mortgage professional at that time will certainly pay you dividends down the road.
All right. Good advice, Clinton. Good to have you back here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Rick. And we're going to be on Saturday.
That's right, with Todd Vino.
Very exciting. So if anybody has any questions, you can certainly phone in. We're going to be on at 10:30.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and see you with Todd on Saturday at 10:30.
Perfect.